Duel Review is brought to you by NexusDigitalComics.com. On today's Duel Review, we finally take a look at The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm RJ.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get to it.
Welcome to Wednesday, July 18th. We are doing The Amazing Spider-Man.
That's right. It came out way back in 2012.
A couple weeks ago.
Mark Webb was the director. Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Dennis Leary, yay! And some guy I can't pronounce, but you know him if you saw him playing the lizard. So
Dr. Connors.
It's been out for a little while. I was a little trepidatious. He was all on board. You know, he had to see it because it's Spider-Man, yeah, it's his favorite character. So I really like Spider-Man too, but we had talked in the Avengers. If you watch the Avengers Duel Review, I had said that there are these three major movies, right? We got Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man, and Batman.
Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah. And statistics say that one of them is going to suck.
Yes.
So I thought that might be the Avengers because there's a lot to pull together. But Joss Whedon did a great job.
Loved it.
All the actors. The only thing that we had a problem with was Captain America wasn't capitalized and
his suit was silly.
Stupid. Didn't fit. Anyway,
everyone else looked awesome. He just looked like a colorful
And when they did
crayon.
such a good job in his own movie.
Yeah, I loved his outfit in his own movie.
So this was the next one, and I thought maybe this one was the one that sucked. And I'll just say this: it wasn't the greatest, but we both enjoyed it. Now, talking about this, figuring out how we're going to review it. All we can say is negative. So We're going to put that off just for a second. I'm going to tell you about the story, which you already know. Spoilers! Okay, we're just going to... The whole thing might be a spoiler, so just prepare you. There you go. Thank you, Nick. Amazing Spider-Man, it's a reboot, essentially. Andrew Garfield is now Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We're dealing with Gwen Stacy. Emma Stone is Gwen Stacy instead of Mary Jane, so it's not the one from Sam Raimi. It's not exactly the same. It starts off with the Lizard, and a lot of properties that involve Spider-Man do. Lizard is kind of the classic. He is not a bad guy, or at least Dr. Connors is not.
Right.
I think he has been, though. I think he has been in like one or two iterations of Spider-Man. I think he's been like an evil scientist.
In Spectacular Spider-Man, a comic book that I reference a lot, and it's actually one of my favorite Spider-Man comics, the Lizard actually... It's shown that he knew what he was doing like the whole time, but he's just cowering behind the Lizard to kind of, just kind of make it seem like
Jekyll and Hyde, little hulky kind of thing.
Right.
But anyway, in this one, he intends good. He wants to regenerate his arm, but he also wants to make superhuman or whatever. He wants to heal people.
Right.
Of course, it's kind of like you're a scientist and you work for the Oscorp Corporation. You don't think they're going to weaponize it. I mean, whatever. Suspension of disbelief. He's just trying to, and he gets obsessed with bringing his thing back. And of course, as soon as the date is pushed, like you have to do human trials now. He tries it on himself. It works of sorts, and then the lizard brain starts taking over, kind of thing. He has this a desire to whatever. So hard not to talk about some of the negative stuff. Okay, keep going. So now he has become the Lizard, and has left Oscorp and is in the sewers making his serum, and he's going to release it on the population.
Right.
He wants to have everybody be lizard people because it's like the next step in evolution, whatever. He thinks that it's, way better than humans because we can regenerate, we'll be stronger, we can, whatever. Besides the fact that would be disgustingly ugly, whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how,
And again, it's so hard not to talk about what I want to talk about. Anyway. So, of course, Spider-Man comes and saves the day. He's figuring out his powers. There's a little bit of a love thing there, obviously, between
Gwen Stacy. And Lizard.
He didn't let me finish, yeah. Lizard is hot. No, he's not. Yeah, whatever. It's just kind of a typical story. I'm excited to see where they go. I mean, I didn't know... I'm not sure they had to tell the origin again, but it is fun to see Garfield's take on, have him as the actor doing it. So if this becomes like a really great series, it was good that they did an origin.
Right, and one of the things that they did was start off with the disappearance, I guess you could call it, of Peter Parker's parents, which was a huge thing in the comics. One of the biggest mysteries, what happened to Peter Parker's parents. So I'm really glad that they did that. I'm really glad that that's a very significant part of the movie, and something that he kind of deals with regularly. So I'm really happy for that.
Martin Sheen does great as,
Yes, Uncle Ben.
And so I guess we'll start with the problems, right? So this is it's a reboot. A lot of fans are kind of divided. Like they got some things right, and then they didn't do other things, and a lot of them feel like it was just like this tiny little bit of effort that they could have put in to make it so much better, but they didn't.
The perfect I guess metaphor for that would be his web slingers. I'm so happy that they put it in there. He had the web shooters,
the mechanical web shooters.
Yeah, awesome. So glad. But they didn't capitalize on, like you say, because one of the biggest things that was cool about him was they would run out, and then he would have to figure out what to do without his webs. Like the little cartridges, he'd have no more, and he'd forget about it, and just next thing you know, he's shooting and falling.
The only thing they had is at the very end, they get broken.
Yeah.
But that's like the last 5 minutes.
And it's not like
it doesn't affect him at all.
At all.
Okay, so another thing that they did is, Andrew Garfield does great as Peter Parker, we think.
Right.
Some people like him better as Spider-Man than Peter, whatever. We like him as Peter Parker.
Yes.
And then when he's in Spider-Man, he does do more quips, which we were looking forward to, but he doesn't do them at the right time, and they're strangely thuggish.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really fit. Like, if the whole character was kind of thuggish, but as soon as he puts on the mask, he, gets an attitude or something. Yeah. I don't know.
I think he even did, gang signs at one point.
It's ridiculous. Back in the car, what do you think of whatever, I don't know.
I kind of thought that little bit was funny, where he's like, do I look like a cop? I'm wearing a bunch of spandex. Do I really look like a cop?
He needs to embrace his nerdiness more. Right. I think that's why we liked him as Peter Parker.
Right.
Before we get too far, I had a problem with the beginning because he sneaks into the lab thing, and he forces, he causes somebody else to lose their life dream just by doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that because it shows that he's kind of an asshole. I understand that he used his power incorrectly, but this was before that. He's just kind of a douchey kid who was oh, she's pretty and whatever.
I'm gonna follow her.
And we're supposed to believe that he has this scientific. See, that's the thing, is I don't know if the scientific knowledge happened to come from the spider bite, because that's what it seemed like. It seemed like he's just some normal kid, and then as soon as he did that, he memorized his father's serum and all that crap.
No, I didn't get that at all. I mean,
I know he made a little mechanical lock or whatever,
right, yeah.
But it just wasn't enough. I wish they would have explored that. It's oh, well, how does he know how to make a web shooter? It's come on, I don't know. He just seemed like a normal dude, skateboarding around. I mean, I don't know. I just wish they would have explained it just a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little more.
It's okay.
Proof that he was smart.
It's not a huge thing. We're kind of picking it apart here. Again, we did enjoy it overall.
We did. It was a good movie.
What's next? What else do you want to talk about?
Do you want to talk about the lizard?
Okay, the lizard. What I was talking about is the lizard. I was worried about the CG, and overall the CG is not bad at all.
I liked it.
In fact, Spider-Man, it never takes me out for Spider-Man. Seeing him jump around and stuff, that's fun.
Looked like
I wish
Spider-Man.
they had done more. And I guess before he should have done his quips during the battle.
Yes.
He didn't do enough of that.
Right.
And
one of the biggest things I loved about Spider-Man was mid-battle, mid-punch, he would say something hilarious, and just taunt or otherwise demean the person that he's fighting,
right.
and that was completely, well, maybe not completely, but that was definitely missed. The opportunities that he had were...
And if you want to see a good example of that, we reference the animated...
Right. What is it,
when we grew up, the
1990s? Yeah, the 1990s Spider-Man animated TV series. It's a great series. You really need to check it out.
He does everything right. I mean, it's a little bit campy.
It is campy.
That's another problem, actually. We'll just jump into that. This is just a little bit too serious and dark. Not everybody has to be, Batman. It has to do the Batman thing, be a Nolan and do that dark, gritty.
Right.
You need a little bit of camp for people like Rhino, and you need a little bit of that.
One of the things
Shocker,
I like,
Mysterio, and I mean, you could do a serious take for sure, but Spider-Man himself is so funny. And it's hard to do that in a dark world. I don't know.
That's one of the things.
Gritty. I usually really like that, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's fine. One of the things I liked from the original, not the original, but the Raimi movies, was the fact that it was colorful. It was kind of, I don't know, flamboyant. It was nice. It was, it definitely had
larger
the feel.
Than life.
Yeah, it definitely had the feel of Spider-Man. This one was a little more grittier, and while I still felt the Spider-Man vibe, it still kind of worked for me. It was definitely darker and just. slightly out of place.
It leads people to be like, oh, what if Garfield was in those Sam Raimi movies,
Right.
and then just had a few more night scenes and be like, oh, and like mechanical web shooters, oh,
Yeah,
beautiful.
Now, one of the things that I did want to say was that it still leaves it kind of open, especially with the darkness of it, to kind of tie him into the Avengers. Because at some point he was part of the Avengers, so they couldn't go too bright. So if they wanted to leave that option open, I don't think it's going to happen. But
yeah, I just think it'll be a cameo situation, probably, if it ever happens.
Right.
That'd be great if it did. That'd be fun. I mean, yeah, he's one of my favorite parts of the Avengers now. I never really liked the original core Avengers anyway. So anyway. Yeah, I guess the Sam Raimi movies, we are a fan of the first two.
Not the third.
Like most people, but yeah, the third one is crap.
Honestly, the third one would have been okay because I like the Sandman, and I kind of like the new Green... I mean, I only mildly like the new Green Goblin.
But we freaking
the
hate
Venom,
yeah.
It's just... whatever. Anyways.
Topher Grace, what the hell?
Yeah. Doesn't even look like Eddie Brock.
But the story is that Raimi was really upset that they made him put Venom in there.
Yeah, they were forcing him to put Venom
and so he just kind of, did a half-assed job, and that's really childish. That sucks. Yeah. But anyway, whatever. I guess I can understand. Anyway, we just pretend it doesn't exist, like most nerd kind. And so we'll continue. What was your biggest problem? We're down to the two biggest problems now.
Okay.
Oh, and I was saying that the CG was great, but I didn't even get to that point.
Oh yeah.
But the lizard, why didn't they just move his face just a little bit, just pull it out a little bit so he looks actually like the lizard? Because the rest of his body looks exactly like the lizard, like the comics. But his face is like this strange, like they tried to humanize it, or it's so stupid.
I wish he kept the torn up lab coat on more often too. He's always taking it off, always being naked for some reason.
Yeah, and I will never buy the toy because it's so stupid and it doesn't have a lab coat. I mean, because of the face. The face is just why? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
1990s animated show had it good. They should have done.
Yeah, I mean, because if they're like, oh well, he is a human, but he just has lizard, whatever, then the rest of his body would be that way too. Yeah. But the rest of his body is spot on, and then his face is just kind of like. Just whatever. So now we're down to the two biggest problems.
Okay. My biggest problem, and I blogged about it, was the lack of that line. The line that everyone knows from Spider-Man. Now, granted, the original series, Amazing Fantasy, it never actually was said by any character. In fact, the narrator was the one to use it. But still, it's such a prevalent line in comic book history that it needed to be there. Even if it was like someone just doing like a voiceover at the very end saying, oh, and now Peter Parker has to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. Even if that happened, I would die. I would be like, that's it. That's what goosebumps everywhere. I'd be like, that's what I was waiting for.
And there were so many opportunities where we thought it was coming, but it just didn't.
And here, do this, and I'm serious. Google famous comic book quotes, and I guarantee you that in most of the lists it will be right up top there. Not with up and away or what was the other one?
American Way.
Yeah, for Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Those two weren't even present in the list that I saw. But right at the top, great power comes great responsibility. Right among a whole bunch of really funny Deadpool ones.
And it's also so connected with Spider-Man that you cannot disassociate them.
So
why not give some kind of nod at least? And yeah, the phone message that he got from Uncle Ben, it was gearing up towards that, and then it just ended. It's like it could have literally been the last thing they said, and maybe that's what it's like. Oh, it'd be more beautiful if it's like, and then that leads to what the line that everybody knows. It's like, come on, you cannot do that. Just like the crap endings that we've had a lot lately. It's like you cannot just say, and then who knows what happens? You figure it out. It still lives in your head, kind of. It's like whatever. Just say the freaking line.
Yeah, that's what we want. Say it.
We want. Closure, storytelling, and whatever.
I think it would have been better if it was in that phone call. And again, spoilers, guys. I'm sure you figured that all out now. But basically, as Ben Parker is dying, Peter's by his side. He doesn't say it, but he left him a voicemail from before that Peter Parker just kind of shuts off and doesn't listen to. But then at the end of the movie, he finally gets around to listening to, and that's when he says it. That would have been the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, it would have been.
But they didn't do it, and I'm pissed off about it.
I also would have been okay if Dennis Leary's character, he would hate that.
No, I would hate it.
But I just want it to be said, period. And Dennis Leary's character also had it's like he's sitting, spoiler, I guess. He's sitting there, very wounded, and he pulls Peter aside, and he's going to tell him something special. And then he says, leave
my daughter alone.
Exactly. Instead of, with great power because, he knows that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are one at the end.
Right.
So it would have been perfect for him, in my view, for him to say it because he knew the power. Because it's weird. It'd be weird to talk to you and be like, hey, with great power becomes great. Because he doesn't have any superpowers, but he knew that Peter Parker had superpowers.
Right.
But they still could have worked it in by changing it to, I know you're going to be a great man, so... But remember, with greatness comes great responsibility. That could have worked too, but anyway. So that's his biggest problem, and it is a problem. I didn't like it either. I was as well waiting for that line. Like, come on. What? Wait, what?
I
what?
was seriously waiting for it, and then credits rolled, and I was like...
First thing we were talking about, yeah. My biggest problem is one of those moments. Most movies have the stupid moment where the stars align and everything converges and the entire city rises up and helps Spider-Man by moving cranes into position so that he can swing quicker to the... Okay, so earlier in the movie, he saves this like construction worker and his daughter, right?
Yeah, it was his son.
Oh, right, from a bridge collapse thing, whatever. So, in the end, when Spider-Man is, he's down and out, he's wounded, he has to get to this building quick to fight the lizard or whatever. So the construction worker somehow magically sees him on the rooftop and said, okay, well, I'm going to move this crane and I'm going to radio my buddies and we're all going to move cranes across the city to make it easy for him to swing. And it's just this stupid, cheesy moment where it's like, oh, everything. And if it was just one, it would be okay. But it was like 4 cranes. And even beyond that, there was like a helicopter that decided, oh, it would be great if I could shine a spotlight to show Spider-Man where to go. And it was just this horribly cheesy moment that really, it's the only time that I ever got taken out of it wholesale. Like the special effects didn't do it. Like that usually takes me out in movies at least some point. But even the lizard's face didn't do it. I mean, I kept saying like, I wish it was, just... Come on. But that was the time I was just like rolled my... I was like, oh, come on. Who the hell is writing this?
Now, one of the things that...
So it's unfortunate that was...
One of the good things about Spider-Man was that every now and then the city of New York would come to his aid, and that was kind of a big part because it made New York itself a character.
This is too much.
This was too much. First of all, plot devices aside, why were there 4 different...
Just the fact...
Cranes in different areas.
The fact alone... that he was saying, he didn't even say Spider. He's just like, hey, buddy, move the crane. It's like, what? That'll cost $1,000. Like, just do it. Okay. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen.
And second of all, there were already really tall buildings right alongside that he could have web zipped from, but, web swung from.
And there's also, I guess, just a real small thing is that they don't involve any of the Daily Bugle stuff.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man is much beloved by every frickin' buddy. Like, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the chief of police wants him captured because he's a vigilante. Otherwise, everybody has a positive opinion. So he didn't have to fight that, which is a real essential part of the character. He has to fight it, more. Right. That he's whatever. He's not looked upon as a hero right off the bat.
But that's a lot of bad things. Overall, again, we did really like it. I mean, I definitely liked it. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I absolutely liked it.
Out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it like 4, maybe.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
4.
No, I would give it 4. Okay. And he did have a lot more of his quintessential Spider-Man poses. The kind that you see in like really cool statues.
Yeah, that was fun.
He definitely
more
had
severe than the Raimi ones.
Right, and I think he looked more like Spider-Man than Garfield looked more like Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire. So it was good. And
I guess it is kind of weird that he totally, where he started the movie pursuing that guy, that just kind of floated away.
Yeah, that's true. The guy who killed his uncle just kind of, nothing ever happened to that storyline, so we'll see where that goes.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, tell us what you think.
Check out our wares on SpiderWolf.com and our YouTube channel, Duel Review. We got plenty of great stuff happening.
Check out our vlogs today.
Oh, I hit it and bounced right off.
Check out our blog.
Next time, we take a look at Transformers Prime.
Welcome to Wednesday, July 18th, and we were reviewing... Sorry. Welcome to Wednesday, the 18th of July. We're doing amazing... Son of a bitch. Welcome to Wednesday, July 18th. We are reviewing... Why can I not say this now?
It's like your favorite thing ever. Just say that.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
On today's Duel Review, it's The Amazing Spider-Man, finally. I'm RJ.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get to it. One more time.
Yeah, please. Without the filing. Or if you're going to do the filing, make it a little more flamboyant as opposed to the...
Flamboyant.
Well,
Finally!
And you know what I mean.
On today's Duel review, we finally take a look at.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna start because I don't know where you want to jump in with. Because I wanted to write some stuff down. As far as what are you gonna talk about?
Just the movie.
Okay. So I'll let you start, and then I'll kind of ramble.
Who was the creator or the director?
That was Bob Hope. I don't think it was. Bob.
You're such an idiot.
How the hell would I know?
Why do you waste my time?
Because it's fun.
No.
It is. You're like Bob Hope. You're like, oh, Nick
Mark
knows.
Webb. Yeah, right. I should have remembered Mark Webb. What the? Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's helpful. And shrunk it down to like this, and it's still freaking okay. Thanks.
Good
job.
Right, Mark Webb.
For fuck's sake.
You broke it. You broke the internet.
Spider-Man and
Who? I'm confused.
I'm tired. Shut up.
Don't know. I didn't even say anything.
Stop talking. Let's go. Never too tired to be an ass.
No, I think that's like default. Like once you're that tired, suddenly it's default.
But I'm funny ass.
Yes, you are. You make me laugh. You insult me and it hurts,
but
it's funny.
You can't help yourself.
It's like that.
You son of a bitch.
That hurts my feelings.
That hurts my feelings. Don't run away from your feelings. Right. You have feelings.
You must be a pansy. Only pansies have feelings.
Right.